Well, today's a new day. It's been a minute since I posted a video here on YouTube, so I'm not sure what I'm going to play. I'm probably going to play several games today. Uh, it's been a minute. Uh, I'm just trying to enjoy the week while we still have warm weather. I spent some time outside yesterday and a couple other days this week, a little bit out on the back patio. And without further ado, we'll get into some games here in just a second. We're going to start with some point and click stuff uh, that I like to play. And here we go. Here we go. And here we go. Some more point and click. And we may move on to some more difficult stuff that I have to play using my controller and or the mouse and keyboard. Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew Zero Sugar is probably my favorite citrus flavored soft drink. Don't drink too many of them because they are kind of high on the caffeine count. Even without the sugar, they can make you awful jittery. La, la,
Hunger turns men into beasts.
I hate...
I will not disappoint you. We should prepare for the coming winter.
Hunger turns men into beasts.
I hate rules.
I will not disappoint you.
I'll skin you alive. A plate man has no secrets. Ask me how I know. Skins and plot.
On Bear Island, everyone is a warrior. For the North!
Sir, speak for giants.
I'm Lord of Winterfell while my father is away.
Move away. A dog doesn't need courage to chase off rats. I bring news. You born will never fall. I know all your tricks, Northerner.
Anyone can be killed.
Hunger turns men into beasts. Hunger turns men into beasts.
Hmm. Got to see an old friend for the first time in ages the other day. Yeah, I'm not going to mention names here. Happy about that.
Hunger turns men into beasts. There's nothing interesting here. Hunger turns men into beasts.
Schemes and plots are the same thing. Death is so fine, whereas life is full of possibilities. My brother has a sword, and I have my mind, and the mind needs books like a sword needs a whetstone.
Alrighty then. Next game. On to my next game. Let's see what's next. Oops. What's the next game that I want to play? What would be the next game? Guess I'll play a little Star Trek Timelines. Today I'm just in the mood for point and click, simple point and click games.
Space, the final frontier. But what if it weren't? What if we were to go beyond space and into time? The mistakes of the past erased, the future reborn, the mortal and...
very cold in space.
Aren't you glad you brought me along?
Perfect!
will be our next game will be let's see, what's the next game that I need to see? What's the next I want to play? Or do I want to watch a little, put a little Twitch video in there? I think I'm going to do that. See if any of my see if any of the people that I like on Twitch today. Let's see. Let's see if Sasha Gray's up now.
I have more questions since I've already seen it, and you know, when you watch something again, oh, Issa. But I still love Insecure. It was such a great show. What's up, Otaki2? How you doing? Not Keisha. What is Keisha Cole doing? Again, another person I don't know a lot about. Don't clock me. Hi, Nightwing. How you doing? Hi, Maker. Hi, Cammy. Today, we're playing 2 games again. So, we knew we had to start Alan Wake, so we're doing that, right? But...
Okay. See what's up on YouTube. See what's up on YouTube for a minute. On church there, all you have to do is walk in front and say, I want to join the church, and you tell them what church you grew up, and they'll come to the church, and you pick up. You can't make it's different. Anyway, or you lose your you have to
ATF, linked in the description box below, is the order. Boom. How did we get here? What the heck happened? Now that you have the headline up front, let me break this down as quickly and as succinctly as I possibly can. We're talking about predominantly two different things. One is the Administrative Procedures Act, otherwise known as the APA, and like many of you probably didn't even know this thing existed really until pistol braces or maybe a few other issues if you're a Second Amendment nerd. The second thing we're talking about, though, is way more exciting than the first. So much more exciting. So stick around, to be frank. Brito versus 8. All right, so the APA, the Administrative Procedures Act. Quick, brief summary. You can't foresee ever, but it is their job to basically go out and try to interpret these rules, these laws, without overstepping the boundaries of these laws, to try to fill in any interpretive gaps that might be out there. So as long as basically what they do is reasonable, they're not transgressing any lines, they can do that. That's part of their purpose. In order to do that, they have to pass notice of proposed rules, where they draft these proposed rules, like, for instance, the PIP said, look, this is not a logical outgrowth. If you look at the notice of proposed rulemaking for the pistol brace rule, we're talking about basically a very hyper-complex and technical point scoring system, whereby you have to figure out whether or not your pistol winds up becoming an SBR, a short-barreled rifle, which is illegal without the proper paperwork and sign-offs and so forth, thanks to the National Firearms Act and the Gun Control Act of 1934 and 1968, respectively. So the Fifth Circuit swooped in and said the rule was not a logical outgrowth of the proposed rule, and, quote, the monumental error was prejudicial, end quote, and, quote, it must be set aside as unlawful, end quote. That's from Mock v. Garland. That's old news. The reason why it's relevant here is because the judge in this case basically adopted by reference and said, yep, the Fifth Circuit said this, that's good with me, and you know what, that's all fine. But keep in mind, that's not all the Fifth Circuit did. What they did in that case, Mock v. Garland, is they then remanded it from the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals down to the federal trial court, and basically said, trial court, take a look at any other criteria that you believe may be relevant when it comes to enjoining this rule. Okay, so in other words, when it comes to some sort of injunction. And that's what they did in that case. And the judge in this case felt like, you know what, I want in on this action. And that's exactly what he did. Because on remand, the court did that and further found, now we're getting into the second issue, that not only did the rule fail the logical outgrowth test, but it also dove into issues of common use. Yes, Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, hopefully you're paying attention to this. I'll give you some citations if you get confused in your next so-called assault weapons ban case. Covered that in our video the other day. So the ATF regulatory analysis basically concluded that there are between 3 million and 7 million with a 50th percentile estimate of 5 million pistol brace pistols under ownership of the law-abiding individuals for lawful purposes throughout the United States. In the final rule publication as well, the ATF did not dispute the noteworthy public comments pointing out that there are millions of pistol brace owners and pistol braces that are in common use across the United States. Now enter a 2016 U.S. Supreme Court decision called the Caetano decision. For those of you on your lawnmowers, that's spelled C-A-E-T-A-N-O. This U.S. Supreme Court decision now basically rears its head because Caetano found that, look, stun guns are in common use based on in their estimation, hundreds of thousands of tasers and stun guns that have been sold to private citizens. Here we have hundreds of thousands versus upwards of 7 million per roughly 5 million Americans that own AR-15 style semi-automatic rifles out there, end quote. Now, we know that number now today is closer to 20 million, 22 million, possibly even higher. And I also will note, in case you're like, but Tom, right, Heller 2 at the time estimated that there are approximately that brace pistols regulated in the final rule are commonly used by law-abiding citizens for lawful purposes. For this case, quote, the braced pistols subject to enforcement of the final rule are in common use today. And possession and use of braced pistols is therefore within the ambit of the Second Amendment protection. Now, again, for you Seventh Circuit enthusiasts who have never heard of the common use test, because instead you prefer what they just came out with in the last week, this contrived military versus civilian use test, let me help you out. To find the common use test, you're going to New York Rifle State Pistol Association v. Brune. I want you to flip to page 2128. In the DC versus Heller case, I want you to flip to page 627. That's where you will find, quote, the Second Amendment protects the possession and use of weapons that are in common use at the time. Just throw that out there. Do with it whatever you want. So then the court goes on, because if you're like a lot of people, I know the types of questions you're going to wind up seeing in the comment section. And I invite you, please participate in the comment section after this video is done going live, because those are the videos that get memorialized, or those are the comments that get memorialized for all time. And I love reading comments and responding to them. And I can already see some of those comments coming up. The comments, a couple of them are going to go something like this. Why are we deciding these cases on the basis of Administrative Procedures Acts and logical outgrowth tests? Why are we deciding these cases strictly on common use? Why can't we just go to the fact that, look, the Second Amendment says shall not be infringed, and end this? Just end the kabuki theater, right? Well, the court sort of gets out in front of it here in this case, Brito versus ATF. And the court says that the Second Amendment the court invokes the constitutional avoidance doctrine to basically avoid the Second Amendment and any constitutional issues. What is that? Really quickly, if the court is asked to decide something on constitutional grounds, that particularly when it's reasonably novel, if the court has an opportunity to decide this on other grounds, it ought to do so. It ought to do that because, frankly, it's not necessarily the highest priority of a lower court to be looking at and deciding constitutional issues if it can be avoided, number one. And number two, frankly, to conserve limited judicial resources. In case this is news to you, almost every trial court in the United States is, frankly, grossly overworked and understaffed, and going through lengthy constitutional balancing tests, which I know you're going to say, Tom, that's literally their job. I get it. But this is part of the distribution, in essence, of the workload across the system. Of, look, leave those questions to the higher courts, the lower courts. If you have an opportunity to rule on separate grounds, go ahead and do that. And then the court got to the phrase that I started with, for the foregoing reasons, the court grants the motion and stays the rule in its entirety. What does that mean? Really quickly, if you've gotten this far, please click that like button. If you're just browsing through and happen to find us, we post all sorts of Second Amendment news. Usually we don't do breaking news. This was kind of a fun new one for me. But be sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure you don't miss any other future content. Also, if you are a Wisconsin resident, I'm going to do a plug for a sponsor, but full disclosure, the sponsor is me. CounterpointSeminars.com. I'll be posting that in a pinned comment below. We're talking about Wisconsin's basic duty to retreat laws when it comes to self-defense. Yeah, I know that's probably news to you. Also, the potential aid that you have a duty to render to a victim, maybe that person who just attacked you moments ago. December 16th, tickets are limited. Be sure to check it out. I will be a key speaker there, as well as some other fantastic criminal defense attorneys, CounterpointSeminars.com. So where does that leave us? Well, unless you can come up with an alternative meaning to the phrase, for the foregoing reasons, the court grants the motion and stays the rule in its entirety, that makes it so that the rule is, not stated in its entirety, then it seems like, to me, the rule is stated in its entirety. And I talked to one of the attorneys, Attorney Weber from the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, who indulged some of my questions before I went live, and as they posted on their Twitter, their view, this is a nationwide injunction. You do not need to be in the Fifth Circuit. You do not need to be a member of any particular group or donor to any particular organization. In their view, and I'm the messenger on this, I'm not giving you my legal pronouncement on this, I'm passing along their legal pronouncement on this. This is an immediate, nationwide injunction. Period. for now. Because this will almost certainly be appealed. Let's be realistic. The good news, though, is that while there are approximately 94, give or take, federal trial district courts, this is coming out of the Northern Federal District Court of Texas, where it will be appealed to is already predetermined based on what Federal Circuit Court of Appeals that court is in, here in the Federal Northern District Court of Texas. Meaning that we're going to this circuit called the Fifth Circuit. If I'm the ATF, I am afraid of the Fifth Circuit. If I'm the ATF, I do not like the Fifth Circuit. If I'm the ATF, I'm going to lose in the Fifth Circuit. Because you see, the Fifth Circuit has been handing down so many pro-Second Amendment decisions that the odds are good. If you've been following this channel for the better part of the last year, and if you saw me say something great coming out of a Federal Circuit Court of Appeals, there's probably a 90% chance that came out of the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, just like Mock v. Garland, which is the case that this judge was citing to. In other words, if the ATF is going to be appealing this, there's a really good chance the Supreme Court is going to be getting involved in this. Their Capacity magazines. Questions after my report, Wisconsin. Take care, guys.
That was good. Let's see. What's the next game I want to play? Do I want to play Grand Theft Auto 4 or do I want to play something else? I'm calling it a day on my YouTube video.